So then, now that we've reviewed how to successfully export 2D and 3D MEP files from Revit to a DWG format, we're going to go ahead and look at how to export an architectural floor or 3D view of an architectural floor to an NWC, which is a file format that will be brought into NavisWorks. So first, I'm going to go ahead and format a little bit my screen here to make this bigger. So some of these room names and drawing names, sheet names are a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and make that bigger. I'm also going to make my properties bar a little bit bigger. And all I've done here is I've opened the Vistaprint Tenant Interior Architectural file. Now that I've opened this file, I'm going to go ahead and start by claiming ownership over the work sets, similar to what I did with the MEP files. And so first I'm going to go up to the Collaborate tab, because you'll remember none of these views in here can be edited until I go ahead and take ownership over the work sets and make them editable. I'm going to go up to work sets, and you'll notice that the active work set new construction is not editable. It's going to find the central model at the architect's office, similar to the MEP files. So I'm just going to hit close because we don't want to locate that server model. I'm going to check all these boxes. I did before, so the process doesn't change much. I'm going to go to owner, scroll all the way down, and holding down shift and clicking and selecting this last cell down here, I'm going to click editable. Now that my name has showed up, I know that I can edit all my views, families, project standards, and create objects and elements and model components within this model. Okay. Telling me that the file will now be risky because it's not associated with the architect's central server model. Yes, I know. I'm not trying to connect to that. So I'm just going to hit yes. And now that I'm in here, I want to see what I'm working with in terms of 3D intelligence. So I'm going to go ahead to View and click 3D View. It's a Windows message. That wasn't a Revit message. And I'm just opening my default 3D view to see what I'm working with in here. Okay. So I want to know what these little objects are floating out here, because ultimately they will show up in the model that I export. So I'm going to go ahead and right click hide in view, and not category, because that will hide all compound ceilings, all ACT ceilings of type. So I'm just going to click elements, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same with this one that's floating out here, and just click elements, not category, or it will hide all ceilings. There must be 2 layers here, so I have to click it again. There's a piece of furniture. Sometimes the architect, when working in a model or Revit space, they model things like mock-ups or furniture layouts or options outside of the model, just so that it's not tied to the model, and it helps them play with it and work with something. Now that I've hid some things that are floating out here in space, I want to go ahead and click Zoom to fit or Zoom All to fit. And Zoom All to fit will just show me, it'll zoom me into the view that encompasses everything in the model. So I'll notice that I still have some elements out here that are floating. Equipment. I'm just going to go ahead and select all of those. Hide in view elements. Same over here. I'm not sure what these are, but it's okay. Yeah, lights that they were playing with. Just going to zoom in again, using my zoom tool rather than just zooming. All right, so now that I have a pretty good idea of what's going on here, and I don't have a lot of extraneous elements floating off in space, I'm going to go ahead and change my view detail, level of detail to fine. And I'm going to change my visual style to shaded. And I'll notice that when I look at these pink lines in here, they're called new construction. That's the phase that they're in. Room separation model lines. So you can use some discretion here, but I don't really think I'll need those model lines in here. They're not. They're just to delineate areas for maybe a square foot analysis or rentable space analysis or program allocation analysis. So I'm just going to go ahead and right click on that and hide in view the category, because those lines aren't really relevant to the project. They're just in here for various analysis. And you'll notice that as soon as this renders and updates, that all of those pink lines will disappear. So they're gone. I will notice, that I have my floors here, my first floor, my third floor. Remember, second floor is not in the scope of this project. Third, fourth, and fifth floors. I don't have a lot of core and shell information. What they most likely did was that the exterior envelope, bathrooms, elevators, things of that nature for the core and shell project were done in a core and shell model that was linked into this, or this was linked into that one. It's just a way to keep everything separate, but also tie the information to each other. So good, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit save because we've done a considerable amount of work so far. Okay, so now that I've got my standard 3D view here, I'm going to go ahead and find that 3D view so that I can duplicate it. And these are enlarged plans and finished plans, and furniture plans. I don't really need right now. Power and fill data, reflective ceiling plans. I don't really need to use those right now, so I just went ahead and minimized them. I might need construction plans. So, in fact, I know I will use those. So I'm going to go ahead to 3D views and search for my name. There it is. This is my default 3D view. And because I have it set up in such a way that it shows all relevant information in 3D with my view visibility that I've chosen, my level of detail, I want to keep this view the same. I don't want to override it. So I'm going to right click on it, go up to duplicate view, duplicate with detailing. I did with the MEP files. This is going to do the same thing. It's going to create a duplicate view in a 3D format. And now that I have that 3D view, I'm going to rename it 3D Level 1 Sky, let's call it. Okay, so now that that view is set up, I'm going to see what my level 1 gives me. So I've got level 1A, level 1B, because it is broken up into these two wings of the building, these two phases of construction, and level 1 overall. I'm going to see what level 1 overall gives me. Okay. Level 1A. So I'm in my level 1A new construction plan. I'll notice that I only see half the building and I don't see as much as I'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this view so that I don't override anything that's in it. And because it's named copy, I'm going to leave that for now, copy of level 1A. And now this is something we didn't do in the MEP model, but we're going to do in the architectural. I'm going to scroll down in my properties bar all the way down to view range. Okay, so now that I have my copy of my level 1A new construction plan, I'm going to go ahead to my 3D view. And I'm going to orient it to that view. Orient to view. Floor plans. And I'm looking for copy of level 1A new construction. Now you'll notice that when level 1A new construction comes up, it'll only be half the building, but I want this to be the entire TI floor for level 1. So I'm just going to use my scope box and I'm going to pull it out. But I'm not cropping any portion of the building. Okay. Now that I have a good idea of the entire scope of the building in here, something that I want to see is bottom of structure, or you know, the elements on the next floor, because I want to make sure that I'm including ceilings and everything that's relevant on this floor. I'm going to go to an elevation view, and you'll notice that if I grab my scope box and use the control arrows to move it up, I start to get a little bit more information on what's going on. And because it doesn't have any core and shell information, you'll also notice that when I pull this up even higher, I can start to see the next floor here. That's on level 2. If I pull it up even higher, it takes a minute to render because it's a lot of information that it's grabbing. And I'll notice that it has grabbed level 3, that we don't have a level 2 in this project. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down, because I know that I have all of my level 1 information there. I click on the corner of the view cube to bring me back to 3D. And I've been looking at this building this way for so long that it makes sense to me. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. And I just want to see what I have for my levels here. RCP ceiling. Let's see. Got a ceiling here. That's good. Ceiling here. Walls going up. Light ring around the ceiling. Okay. Looking at these ceilings here. Now that everything's set up in my 3D view, I'll notice that I don't have a reference point. And we've been using A1 as our reference point for the core and shell project, the component of this project, and as well as the TI. I want to make sure I include that reference point, but sometimes you'll notice that the core and shell won't be here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to find a level 1 view where it is. Here we go. Floor plans, existing conditions, because at this point, when we do the tenant interior, it will be existing. So I'm going to type VV on my keyboard and see if I can pull up the grid. And that's going to be in an annotation. Grids are on. Work sets are on. Something I can do when I want to see what's hidden in a view, I can go to reveal hidden elements, little light bulb at the bottom. Not showing me anything there. Copy of level 1B furniture plan. That doesn't give me much. Floor plans, level 1 working view. If I can get a grid line to show up here. Annotation categories. Grids is on there, so they must not have had it linked. And this is the sort of process that you end up going through when things are a little bit harder to find. So level 1 new construction. See if that has grid lines in it. And I didn't happen to find a grid reference point in there, so I'm going to go ahead and call the architect and figure out, where best to find their grid and in which view, because they may have removed it as an externally referenced file, or they may have left it in, but it's on some sort of hidden setting. So one quick, easy way to do that is to just call and ask. But for now, just for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to go ahead and continue to export an NWC file of the level 1 architectural. I'm just going to hide the scope box because I don't want that to show up as an element when I export. And now, you'll remember that what we did before was we went to export CAD formats DWG. It will give me a 3D DWG that I can bring into NavisWorks. Typically, I don't want to bring that in because of the way that it shows up in Navis, and that's just something that I've found, by trial and error. And NWC is a NavisWorks cache file. NWC is the file extension, and that retains a lot of the information from Revit and a lot of color information, which I like because it's showing things and what they will actually look like. It just makes it a little bit more realistic when you're viewing it with subs, with the architect, with the engineer. It's more relatable. It's easier to look at, and so I like to export the NWC. So you'll remember up here we've got a number of different settings and different ways to import, export, analyze, collaborate, view, and manage. And the that I'm going to stop at right here is add-ins. And in add-ins, I can go to external tools. I can create a 3D PDF if I'd like. This will be a larger file, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and go NavisWorks 2014 and click that. And that'll automatically default to an NWC file extension. So I'm going to go to where this project is, and this one might be located on SharePoint. And so let's see, for OneDrive, Vistaprint level 1. And I'm going to go ahead and name that accordingly. And we haven't slept through this yet, so level 1 ARC, for example, will be our file naming. And I'm going to hit save, and that will automatically generate an NWC, and this dialog box up here will tell you when it's complete. That NWC, just like a DWG file, can be appended into NavisWorks and lined up, with the proper reference point with all other files, whether it be structural, MEP, core and shell architecture, curtain wall, or whatever it is. So that should export in just a minute, and we'll be good to go. This will happen with all floors too. So when we come back, we will look at aligning the files in NavisWorks and then saving and sharing. Thank you.